JKB back with another episode. Today I'm reviewing Mario plus Rabbids Kingdom Battle for the Nintendo Switch. Thank you so much to Ubisoft for sending over the review copy. This is a game that so many people have been asking me about. It's been ridiculous. I actually shut down my phone just to focus on this review for you guys. There's no spoilers in this for the people who feel like they want to get into this game at the end of the review. I just don't want to ruin it for you. Let's get into the review of the craziest crossover you'll ever see. Mario and Rabbids Kingdom Battle is a role-playing crossover title between the Mario franchise and Ubisoft's Raving Rabbids. It is the first turn-based strategy game in the Mario franchise. Just to make this clear, no spoilers, none at all. This is just simply my opinion on the story I experienced in this game, and this is the best I can do without spoiling more details. I don't like to really give that much away on the show because I feel that we're friends watching this, and I'm not going to run up to my friend and be like, Mario gets killed with a gun! That doesn't happen in the game. So don't worry, no spoilers. I will start with saying you've got the biggest hero in video game franchise history versus something that is so annoying to a lot of people that is just in the game for some reason. And you realize they've taken the Rabbids, yes, to a new level. They're much funnier than usual because it's more of an adult humor feeling. It's Mario with his good heart, and it's Rabbids with their absolutely batshit crazy insanity. You put those two together and you create very unique moments that you've never seen Mario in before. How do they handle that? Well, to be detailed here, Mario just acts like Mario. He never does anything in this game that I've never seen him do in his whole franchise history. The Rabbids do everything that you've seen them do before, including hit each other with hammers and knock each other out and all sorts of stupid shit. That's the humor in the game, but it's supposed to be played against the good-hearted Mario. And at times, gotta be honest, the story just feels completely convoluted and so confusing at the beginning because they introduce a third character that is the reason why these worlds are mixed together, and the idea of it works on paper, but once you put it on screen, in the first 20 minutes, you're like, what did I just watch? Why did the Rabbids have a time machine? Why did they go to Mario's world? Oh, I get that now, but wait a minute. I'm not getting it. Like, am I getting it? I'm not getting it. And you're left with, like, what just happened? In terms of the story, I gotta say, it's mediocre. Like, if I had to rate the game just on the story, it's like a 5 out of 10. So let's keep moving on and see if the game gets better based on its gameplay abilities. Let's hope it does. Gameplay is broken up into two sections. You have your usual exploration, walking around, finding coins that can be used to upgrade your weapons. Then you have about 65% of the game, which is the turn-based combat. That is, to me, the most important part of this game. But while you're walking around exploring, you will come across small little simple puzzles on the map that are going to unlock special little zones that have bonus loot crates. Within these bonus loot crates, you have things like character models, soundtrack, and artwork that can be viewed on the main world hub within a museum. So for the people that like to collect, you're going to be doing a lot of that in this game. The turn-based combat, which is the most important part of this game, is based on a simple section of the level that has kind of been designated as what I'm going to call a battle zone. You'll see some flags, and once you cross over the threshold of the flags, you're thrown into a battle. In each battle zone, you face different enemies with different attributes and abilities. You traverse between bricks within the battle zones that can be used as cover. You can also use the warp pipes that can move you around the battle zone much quicker. You can also focus on your team's abilities and use them together to defeat your enemies, as I have a fucking seizure. That wasn't a stroke, I can assure you I'm alive. But let me talk about the actual strategy part of this game because it is the bread and butter of this game. The strategy in the game, I'm happy to say, is so good. After the first couple of levels, you'll find yourself picking the game back up and wanting to go through the battle again to figure out, how can I do it perfectly? How can I figure out how to take this character out and this character out and use Mario's abilities with, say, Princess Peach's? How does it all come together? Let me say, it comes together in literally a very perfect, very perfect strategy turn-based game. Now, I'm not talking about the whole game here. I'm talking about the actual strategy, turn-based combat portion of the game. If it was just that and all the other stuff was stripped off of this, and say it was like an iPhone game, it would be incredible. However, it isn't that. It has a story. It has this exploration portion to it, and the idea of being in the Mushroom Kingdom, I think. I don't even know where we are. But the idea here is Mario, Rabbids, fight each other in a battlefield. Does it work? Yes, it does. Does it feel like you're having fun? Yes. But this is strange to say. By the end of the first level, which is about 10 different battle zones, I thought to myself, am I having fun? Is this challenging enough? I don't know. But once I got past the second level, I started to realize, oh, there it is. That's where you start to use the skill tree, which I'll talk about later in the review, but that's where you kind of decide, okay, I'm going to go down this skill tree route with this character. Then when you go into battle, you notice, wow, I'm glad I did those abilities with my bonus points, because now Mario can do an extra move within the turn-based combat that he couldn't do before, and you start to see how deep the game really is getting. And you start to see, this isn't just like throw the things together and make it work. This is a real team there working with a real talent for turn-based strategy. So if you're into turn-based strategy and that's all you were caring about, then this game is like an 8 out of 10. Each character on your team has a primary and secondary weapon option, as well as 2 different techniques that can be used during the combat phase of your turn. You can switch between each character during the combat phase and use any of the weapons or techniques any way you see fit. These options lead to a wide range of strategy. Each of the characters also have different strong points. For example, Mario is a team leader with the mid to close range attack, while Luigi is a strong range fighter with his precision weapons that can be used from a distance. Once I started to walk around in the game and realize, wow, I'm collecting a lot of coins, what do I do with them? Well, you spend those on new weapons, primary and secondary weapons. For instance, Mario has a gun that can have a honey effect. So sometimes honey will actually shoot out of the gun and stick the enemy to the ground. So when it's their turn to move around, they can't do it. Or ink might come out of the gun and blind the person from shooting you. So there's lots of attributes to these guns. The secondary guns I find to be a little bit more powerful, but they cost a lot more to use. In terms of your turn, sometimes there's a cooldown of 2 turns for the secondary weapon. So if you use the secondary weapon, you've got to wait 2 whole turns to recharge that. Now, if you've played RPGs, you're used to things like this, but I feel like a ton of people are going to experience this for the first time and not understand exactly how the strategy goes. But I'll say after the first level of 10 little battle zones, you start to realize, oh, I get it now. I use this with this and this and this. All of that does come together. So if you plan to play this game, don't feel too confused. You'll kind of get into it as you go. So in terms of the weapons and how many there are in the game and the depth to them, absolutely amazing for this. It goes above and beyond what I thought it would, and it's very thoughtful. The game also features skill trees, and each of the 8 characters in the game use these power orbs that you'll collect during the main story. The one cool thing I noticed is that even though you're not using one of the teammates or the other 5 teammates, because you can only use 3 at a time, their power orbs are stored. So if you decide to go over to that character later into the game, you don't have to go back and start grinding for power orbs. That character also gets the orbs that you've collected with, say, Mario. So later in the game, it doesn't feel unbalanced. It feels like they've done an amazing job here, and that's a really good point I wanted to bring up. If you're playing a game like this and you get all of these characters, for once, you don't have to go back and just grind and grind and grind to level up. All of the characters will be level, and you can go into their skill trees at any point and decide which route you want to take with that character. I give that a huge thumbs up. That is amazing. The main world hub is so confusing at the beginning here because it's centered around the Mushroom Kingdom castle. Princess Peach's castle from Mario 64 is sitting in the center of this level, and as you walk around it, there's so many different routes and so many different things that are popping up right after the first level that it takes a little bit of a learning curve to understand what's going on there. But I realized as the game goes on, you have quick menus for a lot of these things. So yes, it's confusing at times. Like I said, the story is, and then all of a sudden you're thrown into this map at the beginning. You're just confused. So this game really is about figuring out how to play the game as much as playing the game. You have to figure out how to play the game to play the game. It sounds confusing. I'm still confused over exactly what happened at the beginning of this game. But in saying that, once you get past the first level and you understand there's quick menus, then you can kind of traverse around this open world hub and know where everything is. But it does take a couple of hours to understand everything. After completing any of the levels, you can go back into them and face challenges. For instance, some of the challenges could be like kill 14 enemies within 3 turns. This is where the replayability will come into effect. I found myself going back in to clear everything I could in each level, and that was something special. The game is running on Ubisoft's Snowdrop engine, which was first used with Tom Clancy's The Division. It looks absolutely gorgeous, with vivid colors popping off the screen. This is easily one of the best looking games on the Switch to date. Mario looks exactly as you would expect on a next generation system. I found myself constantly impressed with the overall design of the game's graphics and animations. Let's get into the pros and cons of the game, and I'll give you my final score right after this. Let me start with the story. You have a character known as Beepo, who's kind of like Eevee from WALL-E, you know, Disney's WALL-E. And it's like squished down and it moves around, kind of looks like a mouse on the screen, like a computer mouse that Apple has made. And it's moving around and Mario follows that. That's your guide. Beepo is the guide in the game. Why is that there? I get it. You need some sort of guide to get you from point A to point B. But in terms of story, there's something even past that, which I'm not even going to get into. Disappointing on that end. It didn't even need to be there. It could have just been Beepo, the Rabbids, and Mario. Another part of the dislikes here has to be the camera sometimes is locked into place and you get stuck behind these prompts. So a box might be in front of you that you have to push out of the way, like Legend of Zelda style, but the prompt keeps coming up, but then it disappears. It keeps coming up, it disappears while you move around it, and you sometimes can't push these blocks because you haven't had that ability yet. So it's like, oh my god, just move the fucking box. Come on, it's frustrating at times. Another thing I have to say is the levels themselves have extremely confusing mission structure. I mean, I get it. You go from point A to point B through this giant long map, and that's the world, right? But there's so many like, go down here and do something, but then you get lost because there's no overhead map. But then you realize you don't, like, I'm just confused at times. And that's not a major con. I just feel that a lot of people will say the game is confusing. The main world hub is super confusing at the beginning of the game. I had no idea what the hell was going on. And that is a con to me. I mean, I don't want to play this game and get confused off the bat. I want to know what's going on, have a tutorial, and get into the fun. But no, you get a story that's convoluted, then you get confused, and then you're left trying to figure out exactly what to do at that point. Once you get past all that bullshit, you have some really good pros. But there's another thing I'm going to say. The music is so-so. I just don't get it. This could have been epic music for this game, but it's just mediocre, and it's a lot of the same Mario stuff that you've known and loved. So they, you know, the saying, if it's not broken, don't fix it. So they kind of went that route. Let me get into the pros, then the final score. Thanks for watching to this point. I know it's a long review. There's a decent amount of different enemy types. I believe I saw about 8 variants between the Rabbid characters. So you'll see them in different clothing. Then you have some that can actually throw grenades. You have bigger mid-bosses who actually smash you into the ground, and those guys are absolutely scary. Then you have your main bosses, which I won't spoil any of. So yes, you have the variety and depth in a game that you need like this. You also will move on to the idea of having fun. Once the confusion is done, you can kind of have some fun with the game, and once you get into the 3rd level and get into the depth of it and the skill trees and the abilities and understanding how to use those abilities, then you will have fun. I talked to my good friend Johnny Millennium for Happy Console Gamer, and both of us had no idea after the first level, the sort of the main level that you'll play at the beginning of the game, we had no idea if we had fun. Like, it was the most insane thing. But I'm happy to say, after the confusion is over, you have fun. This is a turn-based strategy game at its best. Let me kind of say this too. You take the idea of turn-based strategy and you put Mario on it and you put the Rabbids on it. That's kind of what you get here. So it's not like you're going to see something unique, but what you'll see in this game is the idea of using Mario in a turn-based strategy game. The idea of him jumping and working with his team, like you saw in Mario 2, they had their own abilities. You know, Luigi could jump higher. In this game, he can actually jump off of characters with his special skill tree abilities much further than, say, Yoshi can. So you have the idea of using the special abilities from the franchise mixed in with the Rabbid abilities. It's a great, fun time. It's a basic idea of strategy, but it basically is the best turn-based strategy game I've played on the Switch so far, that's for sure. There are funny moments between the Rabbids and Mario that really do work. I'm happy to announce that. You know, I'm 36 years old, and I'm looking at these Rabbids like, is this going to be funny? I don't know, man, but it does come across like it's a child's game, but it has some secret adult humor in it. Let me get on really quick here because this is going long. It's very rewarding weapon upgrades. Like I said, with the abilities, the honey and the, you know, the sort of Splatoon tie-in, the ink, that's amazing. Rewarding team-based gameplay, and what I mean by that is using Luigi and Mario together, or Princess Peach and Mario together, their abilities mixed together, amazing. Another thing, portable. It's amazing for that. Like I said, going on to the challenge mode and just playing this on the bus, spectacular. It's a pick up and play, amazing. The depth to the weapon upgrades, amazing. And replayability, amazing. Overall, it's a very solid, basic, turn-based strategy game with the most famous video game character of all time. I'm going to give it a solid 7.5 out of 10 and say if you're into Mario and strategy games, then this is kind of like a must-own. You have to experience this. But if you've never played a turn-based game, highly suggest to look at some of the gameplay online. Check out if you're into that sort of thing, and then go purchase it. Is it a must-own for everybody? No, it isn't. Is it a must-own for Mario fans that are hardcore? Absolutely. Is it a must-own for turn-based strategy game, you know, lovers? Absolutely. Is it everything we hoped? No. But 7.5 out of 10 is a solid score. It's pretty average. It's a good game. I just can't say it goes past that. So thank you so much for watching. Let me know in the comments below if you'll be purchasing it. I'm really interested on how many people after seeing this review will go out there and buy it. Go join my Discord server, link in the ender bar, and I'll see you guys around September 10th. Force Friday, I will be back on the channel doing something so fucking crazy, it is absurd. So please, 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 I beg of you guys, when you see my video go up on Force Friday and you're a fan of Star Wars, you're not going to want to miss what I'm doing on the channel. It's the biggest, I honestly believe it's the biggest thing I'll ever do in terms of my love of Star Wars. So please, come back this coming Friday. It's going to be absurd. Thank you for watching. Come back. Just trust me on this.